Right, so in today's video we're going to be overseeding and fertilising the back lawn. Now this is the lawn that I did a really heavy levelling job and a big overseeding job on about 4 weeks ago now, and this is the result so far. So on the whole, it's not looking too bad. If you come down near the front, these spaces here were some of the sort of worst affected areas from when I installed the lawn edging a few months ago, because most of this had been dug out. So all the grass you can see here, that is completely new growth. And you can see all the way around, for the most part, I'll get to this in a second, it's looking really tidy and really nice. You can see in the sort of like the middle of the garden, if we come into a space like this, you can see there's the old grass here, because you see the thicker bladed stuff is the type of grass that was there before the overseeding. And a lot of these thinner blades, all of the new growth that has actually come through. However, we do have two problem patches at the moment. So first one is this. Now this space is all because of the dog. About 3 weeks after the renovation, he dug a massive hole here when we weren't looking. We'd been in the kitchen doing something and he'd ripped this entire space up. So last Wednesday, which was about 9 days ago from the time we're recording now, this was completely bare. I overseeded it, so you can see some of the new seedlings are coming through because we've had some nice weather. There's still a few more we're expecting around this space. So this patch I'm not going to be overseeding today. I'm going to be leaving that one. But we also have this weird strip as well. Now what this is from is when I put the landscape fabric down, we had a lot of heavy rainfall when I first, put it down and did all the overseeding. And there was one patch that just seemed to be completely waterlogged. Didn't think anything of it for the first few days, and then once I took the fabric up after about a week and a half, I noticed that there were not many sort of seedlings coming through on this little strip over here. And I think what's happened is they've either been washed down to the front, or they've just degraded in the soil with it being too moist. Because that is the risk sometimes when you are overseeding, or you're sort of seeding a patch that has no grass there currently. If it stays too wet for too long, the seeds will break down and they're not going to germinate. We do have the odd spaces near the front as well, like this one where you can see there's hardly sort of any growth in this space, and spaces near the front like this. And then we also have, the odd random space here where I might put a few seeds, but nothing too major, because you can see at the moment these grass blades are really thin. And what is going to happen is as they begin to mature, they're going to thicken, they're going to start branching outwards, and it will start to fill a lot of these spaces around here. So I might put a little bit of seed in these spaces, but not too much. There's some random patches like this as well, which I'll be overseeding too, but mainly it's going to be this strip and some of the extra bits around the front too. So I'm going to cut it on the third highest setting on the Bosch, and then I'll get on with the seed. Now the grass seed we're going with today is the A1 Lawns Premiership Pro. Now it's the same grass seed that I seeded this lawn from originally, and it's the same grass seed that I overseeded the entire thing with during the renovation earlier this season. Now you can see how I've spread the seed onto the lawn. We've got a nice distribution here. You don't really want to be having more than what you can see in this space here, because if you put too many seeds in one place, all the grass plants are going to be fighting for the same nutrients, the same water, and you're going to end up doing more harm to your lawn than what you are going to do good. Nice little sprinkling in each of the spaces. So for example, that's enough seed in that space there. This is definitely more than enough. I mean, it looks like loads from above. When you get in closer, you can see all the seeds have their own space ready to germinate. And I've stepped along all of this to make sure it's really pressed down into the soil. So we'll be top dressing with some compost today. And the main reason is because there's a lot of nutrients in the compost. And what it will help to do as well is it'll stop a lot of the bird take. So, inevitably the birds are going to take some of the seed, regardless of, what you put over the top, unless it is landscape fabric. But it'll stop bird take, but also it's going to be good for the soil as well. What I tend to do is just to put it on in big handfuls like this, and then I just brush over with my hand like this, just to make sure I spread all the compost out evenly, but also so that all the grass blades that are currently there are sticking through. If you cover the grass blades, what you can risk doing is suffocating the plants, and then you end up killing the grass blades that you do have for the sake of the new seed that you want to come through. So brushing it across with your hands, it may disturb some of the seeds, but it's nothing major. It's not like a massive changing of where the seeds are actually placed. Obviously, if you've got a massive lawn, this is not going to be feasible, because it's going to take you all day on your hands and knees. It'd be back-breaking. You're not going to want to do it. So something like a compost spreader might be worth investing in, but they do go for around about 150, 250 quid sometimes. But if you want to do it on the cheap, just get on, do it by hand. There's no harm in it really. Or you can rake it round with a rake, but I don't want to do that because I don't want to risk damaging any of the new grass that has come through. Just something to mention too, you don't have to be using compost to top dress. You can do it with topsoil. I have got a video on my channel where I hadn't gone to the garden centre to buy another bag of compost, so I had some topsoil in the garage. I used that. It does the job well enough as well. There's not a huge difference, to be honest, in whether you put compost down or whether you put topsoil down. But like I said before, the main benefit of using compost as opposed to topsoil is that there's a lot of nutrients in this compost that's going to break down over time, which is then better for your plants in the long term. And there we go. That's only one bag of compost. I mean, not even the full bag. And it's covered all of these different spaces where all the bare patches on the lawn were. Now, the last thing we're getting on with is a little bit of fertilizer. This is Day One Lawns Spring Summer Fertilizer, and it's the same fertilizer that I've used on the lawn up at the top and also the lawn at the front. Now, there are people who say if you are overseeding, you shouldn't be fertilizing at the same time, whereas with this lawn as it is at the moment, it's a little bit of the exception. I'll tell you why. I don't know how well it picks up on camera. It's a bit harder to see when the sun's out, but if you get down close into sort of the grass level over here, you can see we have a little bit of yellowing on some of the tips, a few bits of yellow knocking about, and when it's a little bit shady, you can see the distinct differences between the different colours in the lawn. Now, a lot of the yellowing is due to a lack of nitrogen, and what the fertilizer is going to do now is all that new grass that has come through over the past few weeks is going to give that a nice boost of growth. It'll provide a little bit of shade for the new seeds that are going to be coming through, and then hopefully in 6 weeks time, when the new seed that I've just put down today eventually matures, I can get on with a second round of fertilizer too, and the grass will be in full swing then as we're into sort of like the middle of summer by that point. So I'm going to be using the Scott spreader today to put the fertiliser down. I'm going to be going across, and then I'm going to be going this way as well, just to make sure that I've got full coverage across the entire lawn. There we go. The lawn has been overseeded. We put the fertiliser down. It's been all top dressed with compost. The last thing we're going to do is water it in. Now, we're not expecting any rain today, so I'm going to get the sprinkler on. But then next week, we're hopefully going to be getting quite a bit of rain, which should hopefully water the rest of the fertiliser in. And just for reference too, this lawn had an application of the fertiliser recently, and you can see that after being cut yesterday, if we're just getting closer to the lawn, you can see how much the lawn has grown already and how thick it really is starting to look. So day one lawns, spring summer fertiliser definitely makes a huge difference to the aesthetic of your lawn. And there we go. It's been about 2 weeks now since we fertilised the grass and overseeded it, and you can see there's a massive difference in how thick the lawn has become. It's patches like this down at the front where you can see the biggest difference really, because these were quite sparse at first. If you can remember from previous videos, this strip going along the front was the space that needed the most overseeding, because a lot of this soil here is fairly new from when I actually installed the lawn bordering. So for this to have thickened up so well with the fertiliser is really good for this time of year. Even around this space here, you can see it's nowhere near as thin as it was. So we still have the odd patch here, but you can see it's still not really thick. But there are some new seedlings that are coming through, which you can see there. And that's the same kettle of fish on this side of the lawn too. So like I said in the previous parts, these two spaces were our big problem areas. And if we're just getting close now, you can see in here in particular, there's so much new growth that's coming through. Even in this space, you can see after 2 weeks how well those shoots are really starting to look. Even in this patch, it's not looking too bad. So, you know, it's not perfect now, but give it the next 2, 3, 4 weeks, and those new blades of grass will be looking as thick as what these are here. Now, this space is still a bit of an issue. The dog had dug here, and he must have got rid of a lot of the seed. He must have flicked it out across the lawn somewhere. So I'm going to be overseeding this in the next couple of days, just to make sure that the grass comes back through here, because this is, like I've just said, a bit of a problem space at the moment. But on the whole, I'd say it's not looking too bad whatsoever. Now, it's not perfect by any stretch. See, we've got some weed grass here, which I'm going to be addressing in a future video, and there's the odd weed knocking about, but on the whole, the grass is looking much greener than what it was about 2 weeks ago. So I hope you have enjoyed today's video, or at least found it useful. If you have, feel free to give it a like, and if you'd like to check out any of my other content, such as my lawn sit videos or my garden renovation series, then head over to my channel, and if you like what you see, feel free to subscribe. Finally, thanks for watching.